This is Kenny Green. I'm Donna Dunn and Lee Martell. We're both here from the Dunbarton Historical Awareness Committee. It is April 21st, 2023, and we are at Ken's home in Loudon interviewing him. He and his family grew up in Dunbarton. He was born in 1937, so they lived through the war years. Unfortunately, his mom died, and they had a pretty rough time. And he's going to tell us about back in the day, about his family, the people in it, and where they lived.
Okay, I was born in Grassmere Hospital, which was the hospital at that time. I lived in Dunbarton with my aunt and her daughter.
And her name was? I forgot.
Oh, Carrie.
Carrie Green, and she was a
Heselton.
nurse. Carrie Heselton, she was a nurse.
Yeah, she's registered nurse in Grassmere Hospital.
And that, I believe, was at 36 Long Pond Road.
Yes, yeah, I didn't have a number back then, they didn't have any numbers, so, but that's what it was, yes. Yeah, that's where I grew up. Come home from the hospital, was in there. And I was there till, well, one of the things, before I started school, was my dad had his leg cut off in a sawmill. And so I was home with him, but before I had started school anyway, in the South Dunbarton School.
And you were the second of 5 children.
Yeah, I was the second oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we lived, the 3 oldest ones, myself and my 2 brothers lived with Aunt Carrie and Mom and Dad. My mom and dad did too. Till later on, we needed more room.
Tell us about Aunt Carrie's house and some of you told us about Buffalo Road. Tell us all about that.
Well, yeah, when we lived there, there was only 2 bedrooms in that. It was a farmhouse, but there was actually only 2 bedrooms in it, so us 3 older boys slept upstairs in the attic, which was not insulated, no heat. We had a big buffalo robe, an actual buffalo robe that we used to sleep under, and that took us through. We never got cold unless you got your feet outside the door.
And where did your parents sleep?
They slept out on the porch, in the screened-in porch. Mom and Dad slept out there because there was my aunt and her daughter each had a bedroom, which is only 2 bedrooms in the house. Mom and Dad slept out on the porch year round.
Year round.
Yeah, until.
Did they cover their heads up in the winter?
Probably, I don't know. I was too little to pay any attention because we were in bed before they were. But Mom probably was right down under the covers. So, anyway, that got to the point where we needed a bigger house, more rooms anyway. So we went up on Little Lane, and Dad got a piece of land, and we built a house up there.
So that was near the corner of Little Lane and
No, it was right up below.
Kimball Pond Road.
Yeah, it's right up below Little's house. Sits right on the top of the hill, and right down like this was our little house. And eventually, that was getting too small.
So did your father build that house?
Yeah, he built it.
Now, was he hindered at all by the loss of one of his legs?
No, he had an artificial leg, so it just he couldn't climb stuff. So the roof rafters and stuff, my older brother and I would get up on the top of the frame and stage it, hold the rafters till Dad nailed them because he couldn't climb up there himself.
So you helped with construction at an early age.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then I started. I started school and we lived in Aunt Carrie's. We used to walk down to the South Dunbarton School.
So, yes, South School,
then
District 1.
Yeah, we were still going to that school when we went into the little house. And that got too small, so Dad rented the Prue property, which is the house next to us. And till eventually he got the chance to buy the house up on Route 13.
I think that is now 163 Stark South, it's across from Powell Lane.
Yeah, but it's always Route 13, so,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Now, during this period of time, you had 4 boys, and then your youngest sister,
Right,
Audrey, was born.
yeah.
Were you in the big house on Stark at that time?
No, we were still on the house that Dad built
Okay,
at that time, that's why it was getting pretty packed.
I'll bet it was.
Yeah, and that farmhouse, that food place was empty, they had moved to Manchester, as far as I know, the people. And it was a big chicken farm, but they had the big house. So we went,
Is that house still standing?
yeah, yes,
Yeah, I'll check it out.
yeah, I don't think there's any chicken houses there anymore, because the whole side hill was coming, brood houses, the chickens to get in out of the weather. They had closed in houses for the, the bad weather, winter time and stuff.
I'm gonna jump back to Aunt Carrie's house, again, which is now 36 Long Pond. It's a cape of sorts, got a front porch, but you said there was a big barn there at one time.
Yeah, there's a lot of sheds between the house and the barn, there was a lot of sheds, long sheds,
We don't have any photos of that, except the partial one you showed us today.
yeah, and I don't have a state.
Now, what kind of animals were in the barn? What was the barn actually used for?
Well, down in the bottom floor, which was dirt, it was the bottom, under the barn cellar, so to speak. We had kept horses in there, we had work horses for the woods, and we kept them down there when they weren't there.
When you say
Yeah.
for the wood, you mean for getting wood for the stoves and the fireplaces?
Well, and logging with them for the sawmill, because my dad owned a sawmill. That's where his leg went, so. But, we spent, I don't remember that age I left, but I know I started South School when we still had a carriage, because we used to have to walk it. There was no school buses or anything.
So your father had a portable sawmill.
Yes.
Did he employ other people?
Oh, yes, yeah, he had, well, depends on what, actually in the mill, I think there was 8 people.
Wow.
Sawyer, roller, edgeman, stacking lumber, planer, yeah.
And that was set up on the side of the barn, or you just
No,
moved?
down below where the barn was, it levels off, and then there's another hill down to the brook.
Okay.
Down there where it was leveled off, there used to be a pond down there, right, below the barn, where the land slanted. There was a pond there, it's all grown in with moss and stuff, now it's filled in. But the sawmill was just past that.
And did you talked about fishing for hornpout?
Yeah, that was up in Long Pond, that was
Okay,
up behind the house.
okay.
We just had to go climb up over, there's all fields behind the house. We went up, and then it was pasture, and you walked down to Long Pond down there, and used to go horn pouting. Is just for the heck of it, as much as we needed to food, to fish too, we
You go out and get dinner?
we ate quite a lot of them, yes. And there was pickerel in the pond, we never took it, we had caught 1 or 2, but we never used them. Just throw them back, because they're very bony. But horn pout was just something we enjoyed, getting out on the water, sometimes swimming around the boat. But, and food,
Did you have a boat, or?
no, there was a couple that lived on the pond up there, Ranch and,
Ransom Merrill?
Ranch Merrill.
Ransom Merrill, okay.
Yeah, he and his wife lived in a camp up in there, and he rented boats. So, but we go up and get it in. Actually, we had a inboard boat ourselves, inboard motor on it, that Dad restored. And it took him a couple, 3 years to spare time. Had an old Model A Ford engine, full power, and he put it up in the pond, it was there a couple, 3 years, I guess, for.
Lee, you also rented boats from Ransom, tell us about that.
Well, it's $1 a day, and if they weren't home, you clip the dollar on the clothesline, and you go out and use the boats. They were the old wooden boats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was pretty interesting, you know?
yeah, oh, yeah. They
Well, the
were
boys-
good till you had to try and lift them up and get them out of the water.
Yeah, right.
They were heavy.
We did the same thing, we horn potted there a lot.
Yeah, yeah. We used to do pickle fishing in the winter, didn't you?
They'll do,
There was a lot of,
yeah, still do.
from the Manchester area, the Amherst area, most of them, because that was closest to it, but there was a lot of people on, pickle fishing in the wintertime.
Crazy, man.
Did you eat the pickerel, Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, a lot of people did, we didn't, well, if we'd had to, we would've, but they, was kids, a lot of kids, they didn't like the bones in them, so.
Horn pot is easier to eat, because as I always said to everybody, you eat down one side, flip it over, eat down the other side, and throw the bones away. Am I correct? It's like eating corn.
Yeah, and we had another thing we actually did, we used to get frog legs up there.
Oh, yeah, same here, yeah.
Same thing, we go up there, oh, yeah. Well, we had an aunt come up from Rhode Island, she was very particular. And we had a big feed of horn from frog legs, she didn't know it. She thought it was chicken. And they said, boy, that was good.
Yeah.
They told her what it was, and she went out in the shed. Come back. Yeah, but we used to go up there and take a boat and go out and shoot the frogs off the lily pads.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle, at that time, my aunt had remarried at the latter part of us staying there. And he used to take us up with take 22 and get a bunch of bullfrogs,
Yeah.
take them home. When you're a little kid, well, even no matter what, if you're hungry, there's something to eat if you get hungry.
Yeah, but when you tasted them, they were very good.
They're good, we're good.
My wife was adamant she wasn't gonna have any until the day she cooked them, and by the time I got to the table, she had already eaten half of them.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you, you can ask her.
Oh, yeah, yeah. 'cause
She
it
loves,
was-
she loves them.
Yeah,
Do you dredge them in flour, or you just cook them in oil?
She cooked them in butter, I think it was.
Butter?
could be, just, I think, if I remember my
Too
aunt.
little.
Yeah.
And my mom used to just wet them, roll them in flour, throw them in the frying pan. It probably was butter in the frying pan.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't cook them, but I ate them.
Well, I didn't cook them either, but I sure ate my share of them.
There are a few people that drowned in that Long Pond.
I don't know anything about that. See,
Okay, that would be before your time, yeah, okay.
Either before or after, because
Well, I think actually this is before your time, this was late, yeah, well before your time.
well, it could be, because being out on the ice, like we used to go out, when we got older, take our cars out on the ice. When my brother and I got cars, hopefully it was thick enough, we'd go out there just sliding around. Matter of fact, after the beavers dammed the pond up, when it come up, it killed a lot of the maples, because they were underwater, the basin. We used to take the truck out there, but too lazy to bend over and cut them. They took my brother's truck out there, he had a big truck we used for moving equipment, back into the trees to snap them off.
Oh, jeez.
Cut them truck length and muscle them all up, that was our
Oh
firewood.
my God, you're lucky you didn't go through the ice with that.
Oh, that was a lot of ice then, we didn't go out there with a truck unless there was a lot of ice. You know. There was-
What else
we
did you
used
do
to-
on that pond?
We used to go up skating when we got older, take a tire with us, get up there and get the little bit of wood and get it started, that was our bonfire, take a tire out on the ice. It made a good bonfire as long as the smoke wasn't blowing against it.
Didn't wanna cook on it.
No, you just come by and thaw your feet off, because you thaw them out, because you didn't have only one pair of little thin
Now,
socks.
When going out there skating, did you sled down there or toboggan down there?
No, sometimes we take a sled, because my aunt's field went up to the top of the hill, there's a stone wall there, and then it was pasture. But it was all farm, wired in at one time.
Yeah.
It was
But
all
that hill
pasture,
was
so
like
we'd slide from there down, and there was,
Right.
on one side, there was road cut, just a level spot, kinda along, around the front of that. And if it was too slick and too fast going, we'd go down the road, cause it didn't go so fast. But just go down the hill and we sometimes go halfway across the pond for
Yeah,
stuff.
I wonder if that's the road that the state used to put the landing in.
I don't know, it could be the farmer or somebody.
Cause the state put a road in there now.
Oh.
Many years ago.
Yeah, but no, this was just, deserted wood roads, what it was. There was a lot of big trees around it, cause it was pasture, you know, but this was just, it was a wood road, same as going up to the camp.
Well, the road.
That was just a dirt
Yeah.
road up from,
The dirt road I'm talking about went down to, Lance Merrill's place.
oh,
And then it turns off and goes off to the side, the new one.
yeah, I have never seen it, to tell you the truth. Cause of course, there's nobody there now, I haven't been in Dunbarton since I was 17 when I went into service.
Mhm.
I never went back.
Do you know what happened to the barn that was at your Aunt Carrie's house?
I just, over a period of time, there wasn't any farming or anything when we left out, that was it. But, we kept the horses in the cellar, which I was already doing. But it just kept, over a period of years, shifted, and there was nobody there to reset the post or nothing, so eventually one night it went down.
Oh, wow.
There's just no evidence of the wood. Do you think they burned it afterwards?
Could be, they burned most of it, I don't know.
Yeah.
All you can't tell is if there was anybody rebuilding barns back then, they'd come and take care
Some
of
of the wood, yeah.
the wood.
Yeah, there's a number of barns in town that were pieced together from other barns.
Yeah, so,
Interesting to see if the aerial map from 1941 shows it. I'll have to check that.
when we were growing up, we spent many hours playing in the barn, going up through the thing, and jumping down into the hay, all that stuff. Used to go up on the hill, partway up the hill with a bicycle, and we had to put a big pile of hay right in the middle of the barn floor on the first floor. Sailing down with a bike to hit a ramp and see how far we'd go. Well, we had a big pile of hay to land in.
So how did four boys feel about having a baby sister?
Right?
How did you four boys feel about finally having a baby sister?
Oh, we, just like kids would be, glad to have a sister and stuff, but I'm sure at that time it made my folks a lot happier than us boys.
How old were you when she was born?
Well, it's about, on an average, be 2 years between each one of us, so
Or about 8 years younger?
eight,
Yeah.
8 years.
I would think that she would have been a tomboy.
She
Being
was.
raised, was she? Okay.
Anything, like when we moved, after we moved up, we bought the house on Route 13. And that's when my mom started getting sick with cancer, so. She was up there, with us, and actually when we were living in my aunt's again, when mom died, because dad couldn't do the business, take care of him, he's going to hospital every day. Cause she laid in hospital for a year.
At the Grassmere Hospital?
Yeah. Well, back then they didn't know what it was. Matter of fact, they tried to test her for lead poisoning because we had lead water pump had a lead pipe on it because it's the old hand thing, So they tested her for that. But when we went back, when we first went back up, it was us 3 boys, older boys, and Dad would get a house if he could find it. Basically an elderly woman that didn't have,
Right, that could cook.
any family
and
left
take care of your
with
clothes
5.
and things like that.
Matter of fact, the first one come out of Vermont, some friends up there had a grandmother, and she was all by herself and stuff, so she wanted a place to live as well as Dad wanted somebody to take care of us. But they do. Yeah, Audie, my sister and my younger brother didn't go back up to the house after Mom died. They went to, another, Madge, she lived farther down on Long Pond Road, down towards the power lines. She took, Gordon, and my sister stayed with, Carrie, and then we had a family in town after Dad died. A family in town that took her and finished raising.
How old were you when your father died, and your mother and father
10.
died? You were 10 when your mother died?
10 years old.
How old when your father died?
21.
21, wow.
No, 20. I hadn't made 21. I was in the service when,
Yeah.
I was in the Seabees when he died.
So during this period while you were living on Stark Highway, you attended the center school?
Yes, after they did South schools, they did away with that. And then they did have what they call a school bus to pick up some of us that was far enough away. Matter of fact, the one that took us was Rodney Doucett's grandfather. And he had what they called a business coupe. A Chevrolet coupe with big wide doors. You put the seat ahead to get in the back. That was his school bus. He used to get down Blackbrook Road and get to the.
Yeah, there were about a half a dozen or so people that bought their own cars, and the town paid them to be school buses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Rodney's grandfather did that, so he was retired. But it's hard, when you get that age, you don't pay attention to a lot of stuff the adults would, you know. Yeah, that was our transportation for center school.
So basically, you lived your life between the South School area, which was the district, and then the center school area. You really didn't spend much time at the north end of Dunbarton or over on the west end of Dunbarton.
No, until, that was territory when my brother and I got cars. Was East Dunbarton and stuff. Yeah, it's all our friends with it we went to school with, so you got cars, you just, instead of walking like we used to, you just hot rod down the back roads.
So what did you do? You earned enough money in the military to get a car? Is that it, or?
No, but, yeah, well, I saved a little bit. You didn't have much. You did anything at all in the military, you didn't have much savings, so. But, I had enough, when I come home, I could buy a car or something, so. I was in Okinawa when my dad died, so they sent me home, and I never did live there again, in that house. I was 17 when I went in. I got out just before I turned 21, and we got married. I got out in August, we got married in November, so,
Now, where did Charlotte grow up?
in Bow.
In Bow, okay, so she, the east again, the east
Yeah,
Dunbarton.
that's why all the Dunbarton boys, every night, headed to Bow, because that's where the girls were.
What, they have dances over there?
No, just, they had another thing, that they had a pond over there in Bow that we used to go to skate. As a matter of fact, had two of them, and the girls all went to the ponds. Just go somewhere and maybe set somebody's house and just giggle and talk all the evening and stuff.
And so that's how you met your wife?
Yeah, that's where I met her over there, yeah. And that was off and on. Yeah, when we were young.
Oh, yeah.
She says, well, I think her father didn't like her going out with those wild animals. But that's life, that's what they all went through, I always. It was all innocent.
So what was your first car?
Well, it was before I could drive on the road. It was a 31 Chevrolet coupe. The old, remember the old Model A coupes?
Mhm.
That was shaped just like that.
Now, where were you living at this time?
Living up in, on Route 13.
13, okay.
Yeah, before that, I mean, I was never old enough to
Mhm.
get that one.
Now, what happened after your father died, and everybody was split up?
Well, we'd all separated before he died.
Mhm.
Well, Audie was still, I think my older brother still lived there
Mhm.
at the house. But,
Audie was like 15 or 16, or,
yeah, she was the youngest one in the family
right,
still.
right.
Yeah, she, actually stayed right in, up at the house with her. Matter of fact, I was a cook and housekeeper for a year and a half,
Mhm.
when I was, just when I was 12, I think. Cause I used to cook with Mom sometimes. I liked doing that. And Dad was raised as a cook in a lumber camp in Canada. So between the two of them, I had a lot to learn, so.
Right, what happened to your father's sawmill operation? Did he?
They sold after he died.
After he died, yeah.
Yeah, I was, well, I had come home, but I was still in the service, and my brother had, well, the estate, and my brother had taken care of selling it. One of the men that worked for him wanted it, so it was an easy situation to give, there was no problem thinking about getting rid of it.
Yeah.
He didn't put it up for sale or nothing, because it was Otis Moulton in Concord, and he worked for Dad, logging. And he had his own tractor, bulldozer, and he used that logging. Dad paid him.
And you said you did a lot of cooking. Did you do any farming? Did you raise vegetables, or
Oh,
did
yeah,
you butcher chickens?
Yes, I had Daddy. As soon as I was big enough to swing an axe, I was involved in that.
Yeah.
We had to pluck them most of the time too.
Did you save the feathers for pillows?
I
Did
didn't know.
No, you didn't?
Just glad to get rid of them. Hang, lop the heads off and throw them before they get blood all over you. And if somebody had to clean them and had to pick them, all the feathers off. Yeah, but
A lot of work. Did you ever butcher a hog or any other animals?
my aunt's second husband had worked as a butcher. So we used to raise all our own. And he butchered them. He actually butchered for other people's stuff.
Oh, so he must have had like a pig hoist or something in the barn. Did he have a hoist in the barn?
Well, it depends where it was. If you were lucky, you had a pair of chain falls or pulley blocks usually.
Mhm.
And you put them up and haul it up and tie it to a tree or a car, whatever's closest.
I have a picture of Simon Audette butchering a hog with the plow from the town raised up in the air, and he set the hog hanging from the plow.
Anything, yeah, because you used to shoot them and gut them, and then you used to have barrels, hot water, dip them in. That's probably what he's doing with his plow. He let them down into the hot water,
Smart.
pull them up and lay them on a table right there and scrape to get all the bristles off. Yeah. It was actually, looking back, we never thought about being poor as we were, really, but
That
we
was
were happy.
the way of life.
That's right, you find, if not a bad day, you find a place, just you go through the woods, or you take a bike and go down to the neighbors, down. Rodney didn't live, I don't know what it was, maybe 2 miles from us or something like that. And well, when we got up on the highway, up Route 13, it was farther, but there was another, between my aunt's place and Rodney's, there was another friend, went to school together, Freddie Paris.
Oh, right.
So, before we had bikes, we just walked all these places. It's all,
People don't understand today that someone will say to me, "What did you play with outside?" And I said, "What do you mean play with?"
Yeah.
Well, what toys? You didn't have toys. There were sticks and rocks and puddles, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
played games, and you hide and seek and ollie or Believe-O or whatever those games were.
Yeah.
You didn't have stuff to play with.
No, we never had, bicycles till after we moved up onto the highway. That was after Mom was gone. We used to go up behind the house that Aunt Carrie's, take a piece of roofing tin, bend the front up, drag it up the top of the hill, get on and go. You couldn't really steer it, so you just hope it didn't hit the trees out. There was a little bit of woods on the corner down there. But
I think we had one sled growing up, and we had to share it. We had to haul it down the hill, and then share it and take different turns, and
Yeah.
that's it.
yeah, well, that piece of tin, you get 3 or 4 on it if you could. If you didn't, there was nobody there, you go up by yourself. Yeah, but we spent the time outdoors. And we got older when we had the horses later on, when we were big enough, we just sometimes, after we moved up on the highway, we'd do something, we'd take the horses and put a bridle on them and climb up on bareback and ride down through the woods down to Long Pond. Just spend time in the woods or whatever. And looking back, I mean, it was good times, really. Like, same way the situation with the sleds. We never all had sleds. I think the first sled they got was a double, it was longer than a regular, so get a couple, if we pile on tight, we could get 3 of us on that. And had the hill right out in front of our carriers there. That was dirt road then, but all you need is a little snow and ice.
And
Go down. That was a little easier because the road was plowed most of the time, and they could, small hill to walk back up instead of going up the other way. But
And then as far as stuff in the house, what did you have? We didn't have toys growing. We had a deck of cards in the house, and we had, once in a while we'd have a jigsaw puzzle or something like that. You
Yeah.
just spent your time outside. You didn't spend it in the house.
that's it. You didn't have, well, that's one of the reasons, especially bad weather and stuff, I was in the kitchen with Mom cooking because back then, I mean, everything was cooked. Like when we lived with my aunt, she's a fantastic woman up there. She was still working as a registered nurse when Mom was there, and after Mom went in the hospital, we still, year round, they cook everything on a wood stove in the kitchen. Donuts, desserts, baked beans, a whole bit. It doesn't matter what time of year, the stove had to go. You had a tank, what they call a tank on the end of it. That was your hot water. You need more than that, you put a bucket up on the stove for your bath on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. And you kept adding water in, and
Yeah. And hopefully, being a little bit older, you were the first 1 or 2 that was in the tub. Because all 5 kids went through that tub before you were done. But hey,
And you
never
played
hurt,
hard.
never hurt us.
No.
No, it's just enjoyable. You looking back, there's so many other people you see things, and they don't have the outlook on life that we do in a sense, because they never went through it. So it's good times, really.
As I said, it was a way of life. You didn't know anything different, so.
That's
it was a
right.
way of life.
Yeah.
It was a good way of life.
Yeah.
I grew up just like you in the woods, with
Yeah.
4 brothers, and that's what we did,
Yeah, you were in the woods growing up, yeah.
all day.
We were in the fields. I was in the fields. My sister was in the house reading books, but I was in the fields. We had a little stream down at the end of the street, which is a dead end, and I'd go down and catch pollywogs and
yeah.
frogs, and that's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Saw fireflies at night, and you would catch some fireflies.
Yeah. Lightning bugs.
Lightning bugs, yes.
Yeah, we did all that stuff. Well, that was something different. You see them outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
because there was no TVs. You're lucky if we had a radio.
And the mosquitoes didn't even bother us. At night, we'd be out catching fireflies.
Yeah.
No shorts, every mosquito didn't bother us.
Yeah,
They were there, but they didn't bother us.
no.
I do now. The black flies were out last night.
Yeah, it's,
So you
People-
had a good childhood, despite the obstacles.
yes, I mean, looking back and seeing other people, by losing my mother and father, you know, young like that. I didn't realize it as much, but it did, there's a lot I missed in life because of that, you know. And when mom died, I was going to center school, and she was buried right out behind the school.
Oh, gee.
The cemetery behind the office buildings, yeah. You know, so it was some hard times, but you just keep going. You don't let it get you down, you know. Make mistakes, you just have to work twice as hard to correct them.
Right, well, there was more of a sense of community back then too. I
Well, that's
mean, you had relatives nearby, you had people that were like relatives, and they would help each other.
Oh, yeah, and I had my other aunt that lived farther down along Pond Road, and my aunt that we grew up with and stuff. Thanksgiving, we had the big house then. They all come Thanksgiving, we had, you know, cooked the turkey and the whole thing, we had a table, well, with the leaves in it was about twice as long as that in the dining room. Well, you see the inside of the house of my aunt, well, we had one almost twice as long as that in the dining room. So they just put all the leaves on the table, stretch out, and sometimes it'd be as many as 20 different relatives there, you know, stuff, and friends. And it just, that was a good time to get together, so anytime they come across something like that, you made sure you all get together. Just,
Well, and you didn't just know your family and your immediate neighbors, you knew everyone in the neighborhood.
oh, yes, yeah.
That's not the way it is now. People sometimes don't
No.
even know their next door neighbors, never mind knowing everybody on the whole world.
When I was younger, if they were within 10 miles, they were your neighbor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You knew everybody, you knew
Yeah.
them, they knew you.
Yeah, and sooner, one way or another, you deal with your kids, you'd still get together.
Oh, yeah.
Long you don't be out by yourselves, like Rodney and Freddie Parrish and stuff, we walked back and forth to them. And then when we got up on the other road, the big house, we had bicycles finally, I remember, because Dad brought 2 bikes home for my older brother and I one night. He used to do his business in Manchester, so we come home one night with 2 bicycles. And I wasn't sure I liked bicycles after the first couple of days, because I was so short, I was full-size bike. The only reason the way I could ride it is take the seat off.
Ouch.
Yeah, because it wasn't a girl's bike.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't sure after, but it's still, just plug away.
I never understood that.
What?
Why didn't the guys' bikes have that?
That dip, I
The
never
girls-
understood
The girls
that.
could have the rail across.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna slip off those pedals.
No,
No.
no, you do. We do, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, looking back, it's all, now they can't have anything unless it's motorized.
Oh, when I think of how we used to ride barefoot,
Oh, yeah.
no long sleeve shorts, I mean, if you fell down, you scuffed everything up. You know, if that bike went down, you scuffed everything,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
There was no pavement burn then, it was all gravel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and we didn't have a tarred straight, and it would go right in with the, you had to scrub it to get all, make sure you get all the dirt and the gravel out of there, it's like, oh gosh, this hurts.
Yeah.
A lot of
Some of
pictures of skin knees.
Some of the stuff, you look back, you know, you wonder why you're still here. But, I mean, that's what made us tough, and we weren't sick that often, you know? There was stuff, whooping the cough or measles to go around. Luckily, you got Carrie worked at the hospital anyway, so we had a good nurse. But, it's amazing what some of the things we did do.
Well, you didn't go to the doctor all the time, I'll bet.
First time I can remember going to the doctor, I was hit on a bicycle and knocked me for a loop, and it took me down, well, put me in a hospital for a week. But, outside of that, you didn't run down. Matter of fact, the doctor in Goffstown, we had, I mean, if needed, like say, bunch of us get sick or something, call me, come up, take care of you, give you medicine or
Back
whatever.
in the day, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had house calls too when I was growing up.
yeah, no, I remember I had blood poison in my hand one time. Calluses, I kept working, cutting wood, so. Eventually it swelled, by matter of fact, I remember it because it was a hunting weekend, and I couldn't carry the rifle because my hand was really. So then he called him, he come out, oh, I was poisoned, cut the callus open, squeezed it, put some salve or something on it, wrapped it. He says, you know, same thing, if you notice anything going on, let me know. But he was just, they come right up to the house. It's, now.
Yeah.
They
So
run,
all in all, you have fond memories of growing up in Dunbarton.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I'm out like on the Friday morning stuff, sometimes I'll drive down around the Long Pond Road, down around or something, I go up by Little's house and
Yeah.
back down.
Mm-hmm.
And then go, come back through Mo.
For the audience, there is a men's coffee hour in Dunbarton every Friday morning, and Ken drives over from here almost every week.
Yeah,
So-
I don't miss many once I got in
Yeah.
on it, Mary got me in on that,
Yeah, good.
yeah. So it turned out to be good, I almost quit a couple times because I didn't know anybody to speak of.
Yeah,
If Rodney or Billy were there, it was all set, but outside of that,
yeah.
I didn't know the other guys and
We got to know
I
now.
wasn't, no, yeah, I wasn't left out, but there again, a lot of stuff was talked about, especially town business.
Yeah, it went by you.
Yeah, you did, yeah,
But now you've reconnected and you're kind of like home.
oh, yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to add to your story?
Oh, I'll probably think of things that.
Yeah. Well, it
And
has.
life has been, you know, we moved around in the houses, but we've done that since then, because when we bought our first house up on the river, Kentucky River, it was a summer camp, and I dug a safe basement and stuff,
Tell me about that,
yeah, and then I went to work at Rumford Press, and I don't know if you remember that was a big print job. I went to do that, give that out, bought a filling station.
Huh.
And I did that for a year and a half, and my cousin in Canada his brother had the family sawmill, and he had a heart attack, and his father didn't wanna give it up, so he called me and see if I could help him at all up there, and I've been looking to get out of town in a sense, because up to that point, I couldn't afford to buy more than the one place, you know. And so up there, big house, lots of land, so I went up there for 7 years.
And you're here. And then you're here.
Yeah, well, let's see, when we come back. No, when I left there, we went to North Carolina. And I went to school, and the sawmills were different down there. Now they're bigger than what I had done. So I went to school down in North Carolina, and then I went to work in North Carolina, and I got another job in Florida. And I ended up saying, well, we'll go back home, so.
A little hot down there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, well, that was it. I don't do well with heat at all. And of course, I was working up in Canada till fall. We left in October, so that wasn't bad.
Right.
Time the first to make them, I had a nice, but down there, I was making good money. You know, compared to what most people have done down there.
You couldn't get,
It wasn't worth the money.
you couldn't pay me to live in Florida. I like it here in New Hampshire, and you like it here in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
And you don't have to worry about getting too, well, you will get hot, but you'll have your nice cold winters. and we
Yeah.
hope that you will continue to come to Dunbarton for men's coffee, and if you have any more stories you wanna tell us later, we could do it again,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Well, if I leave New Hampshire, I'll be to North Carolina,
okay.
down by the mountains.